Earl, welcome to the program of Journey of Life with Gurmeet Atwal. Thank you for taking the time out.
It's a pleasure.
Tell me a little bit about you. I had the chance to read a lot about you yesterday after I got the message that I was going to be spending some time with you. There was an article called An Unsung Hero in 1966 about you in the newspapers. What is that article, and how are you connected with the story that was written in that article?
I think what it relates to is I've been part of the Vancouver United Ostomy Association. Actually, my first meeting was in 1961, and about 30 years ago, by accident, I went, donations were made by a local distributor, and the person who was the president at the time of the United Hospital Association, and he brought them all over to me, and I became the shipper, and that was about 30 years ago. Wow. And I have been collecting donations since then and sending them to Friends of Ostomates Worldwide Canada.
Wow.
And it has grown with all the hospitals. I go as far as Chilliwack.
Wow. Okay.
Who collect donations from people who return them, people who the hospital themselves, the drugstores. Today I had 2 phone calls for people who online, if you just Google ostomy donations,
right.
and I guess there was nobody really knows what I'm doing, and so.
Yes.
I think it was Deb Rooney, who was the president at the time, wrote an article of what I do, and the amount that I ship is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars retail a year.
Wow.
And so I think that's what prompted the article to be
Unsung
written.
Hero.
Yeah.
You know, this is my first time actually understanding a lot about what happens behind the scene with this sort of situation. Are you connected with the hospital foundation departments? I know every hospital has a foundation department inside that's actually also connecting donations. Can people connect there with you? Are you connected there, or should they directly link with you somehow? Maybe at the end of the program we can get some information how people should connect with you if they are wanting to donate, because it's for a good cause. It's it's a cause that most people don't have full I should say knowledge what it is, how to get support around it. Never mind worldwide. I mean, in your own town, people need to understand how it impacts your life day-to-day basis.
Okay.
It's very crucial to understand what it impacts you as a person.
Did you want me to explain
Please.
the donation?
Yes.
Okay. Ostomy, ostomates are either have a ileostomy, a urostomy, or a colostomy, and the products are very expensive. They are covered by our medical system here in Canada, but they cannot be returned. So a box of 20 items within it could cost $100.
Okay.
And a lot of people now have temporary ostomies, and the result is that when they are reconnected, then what do they do with the supplies? And so there are places in the world that have no supplies at all, and they're so expensive that they can't afford it. So people who have rectal cancer, who have Crohn's or ulcerative colitis and need the removal of their bowels, there is no option. And in some cases, they just don't do the surgery and people pass on. And so Friends of Ostomates Worldwide has been operating for probably 40 years, 45 years. And I collect all here on the Lower Mainland.
Okay.
I ship them to Ontario, where they are then sorted, packaged, and flown throughout the world, from India, Iraq, Cuba, to all the developing countries, where we have contact at the hospitals, even to Nepal, where contacts have been made, and they really count on these supplies.
Wow. Is there a special permissioning from our like a Canadian government in order to do what you're doing, or is this is all voluntarily basis? Is this
It's all voluntary
all
basis, and
voluntary
in fact,
basis?
it's our organization, through our membership, funds the shipping. It costs, just for me to get them to Ontario, between $3,000 and $4,000 a
A
year.
year, yeah.
But we have help from the distributors who finally, through Canada Post, they get a 15% discount,
Awesome.
and I was getting 5,
Yeah.
and so I just take it to them. They ship it to Ontario, and our organization gets an invoice, and then we pay it. So
That's-
all the costs for shipping are coming out of our membership here in Vancouver.
Very beautiful. So it's a like a proper process how these things are done. You know, from the time they engage with you, you buy the supplies, you ship them, and you kind of get the mailing addresses, and you send them to different hospitals where there's a need.
I don't
For
do
these-
that, but they do that
They
from
do that
Ontario.
from Ontario, right?
Yeah, that's sort of the central. It's in St. Catharines, and they have a warehouse that the space has been donated, and it's a big job to do the sorting
It is.
because there are different companies who are different products, and so that all has to be sort of arranged.
Yeah.
And it's really easy at my end.
So they have to have inventory on hand to ensure they have item A, B, and C, and make the packages and
They do,
And
yeah,
send them off,
and they ship
yeah.
that off because they can't just. I put everything into boxes. I don't. I only sort things that I cannot send liquids because of the air freight and this sort of thing, and so they have to then sort in Ontario with big job. Also all by volunteers,
it is.
and yeah, but the within the hospital, the nurses who are responsible for wound and ostomy care. They used to be called enterostomal nurses, and now they're called NSWATs, nurses
Okay.
with ostomy and wound training. Enterostomal nurses, they're the ones who contact me and say, we have some supplies, people have come and returned them,
Okay.
and so the hospital are really happy to do that because otherwise they're throwing unused thousands of dollars away.
Wastage, right?
Yeah.
Wastage. So you get a call from these hospitals like, say, St. Paul's or
Yep.
VGH or,
As far as
Oakland,
Chilliwack, I do have it for
right?
Chilliwack, and locally here.
It's very useful for them to actually be kind and connecting with you.
Yeah.
So they're not wasting these supplies because they're not, as you mentioned, they're not cheap to buy and they're not supported by our MSP system. So where there's a need, and I'm sure people are very glad that they're getting your support and utilizing these supplies on hand.
It is, and it's in some countries it's challenging because in certain cultures the discussion of body waste is not acceptable and it's very difficult. And here we're dealing with body waste and the management of body waste, and so it's been an education for me to realize how people are operating and in various countries and how they're ostracized in many cases, and this really helps them be clean, not to smell, and it changes their lives. And we get notification back from the hospitals and from the people in appreciation.
I feel that this topic, we don't talk about it enough. Because we talk about keeping the house clean, we talk about keeping your garden clean, we talk about keeping the streets clean, but as a person, I think the general knowledge is basically you're taking it for granted that your body is as it's built, and these are natural things. And I think till you actually hit that hurdle in your life that someone is experiencing these issues in their life, and it becomes very difficult to understand like how to go about getting help. And how did you meet Gurmeet Atwal in your journey? How did she come in the picture?
I got a phone call from Gurmeet, and she had contacted Nightingale Medical Supplies, saying that she was aware of the difficulty of getting supplies to various places in the world, and could they help her? And they said, no, we can't help, but you should contact Earl Lask.
Okay.
And So I received a phone call, and we met, and over the years we've worked together, we've become friends, and it's really been a successful relationship. And all of the donations that we collect leave Canada, because otherwise the wholesalers, the drugstores would not support us, because that means that people here wouldn't be buying their product. But the government under MSP do finance and support people who can't afford the products.
Okay.
But if you had to pay for them out of pocket, it could cost around $2,000 to $3,000, depending the type of ostomy one has.
Okay. And that's defined by their family doctor, by the hospitals, to see what sort of supplies are required for different sort of treatments, right?
It is. They
Yeah,
do
they
have.
do.
They'll provide a certain number and an amount for the person.